Hi everyone, Sanjay again on the channel, and great to have you here. Hi Sanjay, how are you doing?
Good, Rohit. Nice to see you. Long
Yeah,
time.
yes. Thanks Sanjay for joining in, and I think a lot of folks who have joined this, YouTube channel have subscribed to Sanjay's channel for a long time, and to see his videos or these live sessions. So already know about Sanjay, but those who have joined recently or this is the first time they're joining this, just like to introduce Sanjay. Sanjay is, of course, the chairman and CEO of Infosys Technologies. He's a visionary global leader, a very keen business advisor and strategist, keynote motivational speaker. Uh, he also is a venture and angel investor and a philanthropist at heart, right? And also, is a meditation trainer through heartfulness. And it's great to have Sanjay again here, and talk to us about leadership, entrepreneurship, and life in general. So, Sanjay, thanks again for being here with us, and taking questions from various folks. Uh, And before I get started, is there anything you wanted to share, right? These pandemic times with all of us.
Well, I know last year we used to share that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So just hang in there. Now I will share that, we have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Now enter another tunnel. And unless we change our behavior, we'll keep seeing tunnels after tunnels. So I think it's very, very important that for all of us to follow, as they say, the three W's, wash your hands, watch your distance, and get the vaccine, right? So I think it is those who, there are many people I know they're afraid of getting vaccinated. They should make sure they get vaccinated. But even after that, I think we in early on we had shared that the future lunch boxes will have a sanitizer and a sanitizing wipe and sanitizer bottle when you leave home instead of a handkerchief and lunch box. I think that is going to stay with us for some time more till we actually get to the other side. So we do need to all exercise these things and be continue to watch ourselves.
Okay. Thanks for that, note, Sanjay. I think there are a lot of folks who have, asked questions around leadership and the, life in general and career prospects. And I'll go one by one, right? Just to be nice for you, for us to get your thoughts on that. Now, the first question comes from Banu, right? And what she asks is, what are the challenges faced by CEOs during these trying times, and how does leading in such situations benefit?
Sure. Very good question. And the challenges have been evolving and requires us to evolve along with those. Last year, the challenges were different, and this year, the challenges are different. And the most important challenge has been how to continue to build cohesive teams or keep your existing teams working in a cohesive manner. And I know there have been, employees who haven't met each other, haven't met their supervisors. In our own company, we have hired so many hundreds of people, and they haven't seen our offices, they haven't met their supervisors, everything has been a Zoom screen. I mean, as they say, people have been zoomed out in many cases. And so I think making sure that there is that connection with the employees, with the people whom you are working with, and a cohesiveness among the teams, that has been, I would say, is the biggest challenge. Not just me, but all CEOs or all leaders would have been facing this. And that's why, I mean, as you may be hearing, in US where things are slightly better, vaccine is more readily available, and a lot of people have gotten vaccinated. Some CEOs are now mandating no more work from home, come back. I mean, they're mandating because though we all saw in the first quarter of pandemic, or first to second quarter rather, productivity went up. First quarter people didn't know, nervous and all that. Second quarter we saw productivity went up, and then we saw people started getting burnt out. And now that has been continuing, and now especially in growing industries like ours, teams are being hired without them having to meet anyone physically. Laptops are being shipped, all the paperwork is being shipped, things like that. And I think in an environment like that, it's very difficult to maintain that that good work environment. So that is, I think, one thing. Second, as I said, zoomed out, how to make sure your employees are not burnt out. So I know at MSIS, our HR department has been trying to keep them engaged through various yoga, meditation, and other fun activities on a regular basis. And that's very, very important, that people must realize that there is more to work just than that, 2 by 2 screen of Zoom. There's more to work. And that's the thing is again, even those activities you can only do virtual. That's unfortunate. But at least do something beyond just typing some code on the computer. And that's something is very, that's I would say is a third. And other is, of course, the uncertainty of the business environment. Though we have been fortunate, but not every industry has been. And who knows, tomorrow things may change, and the clients we're dealing with, they may have something, right? Some problem because of pandemic. They're saying the post-pandemic market or economy is completely different from the pre-pandemic economy. Now, it means some people would be left behind, unfortunately. And if you are one of those, then there is, I mean, really unfortunate, sad to hear that. And so that uncertainty is there for all of us, of the business environment, of clients, of economies, geopolitical things. Now, what if one country does well in terms of managing pandemic, other country doesn't? I mean, these things, obviously there are uncertainties, right? So I think these are the, I would say, challenges faced by us. And, those who are able to deal with these things and continue to stay at it. I mean, for first thing, for like they say, if someone is drowning in front of you, if you want to save them from drowning, two things required. One is a good presence of mind, and second, your own training of swimming, right? So, like that, for a good leader, if you want to make sure your employees stay motivated, keep good morale, stay at it, even if it this continues for another year or two, who knows, right? It means you need those two things. You need to make sure your own morale, your own outlook is positive through this, right? That is very, very important. And then second, you should know a way to pull them out. And that's, I mean, because only then you will be able to help them. If you just keep beating them up, oh, why this is not done, why that is not done, be empathetic. Realize that everyone is going through a very tough situation that they have never gone through. Nobody, no amount of training, even if you had double, triple PhDs or master's degree, had prepared us, any of us, to manage this kind of challenge. We have seen in many countries the leadership has gone through, countries' leadership has gone through changes because existing leaders were not equipped to handle the situation. Right? I mean, I'm of course talking about US as the prime example, but there are many such things. So I think if for CEOs who are facing these challenges, they need to make sure they face it, they help their employees to go through it, keep their morale high. These challenges are, at the end of the day, challenges are opportunities. If you are able to live up to those opportunities, provide solutions to solve problems that people are facing today, you come out winner from the business sense. And it overall, as a leader, it helps you grow. They say that, whether it is iron or gold shines when it goes through fire, right? Gold, I think about gold, they say this saying, right? And that's to any leader, this is a situation that is an opportunity for them to come out as a better leader. And hopefully, we all do that. Learn from it, be ready for it. Thanks, Rohit.
Thanks, Sanjay. That was very informative and I think very true. I think, and you truly imbibe this as the CEO of MSIS, and I know that folks who are hearing this would really benefit from this, from your thoughts. Moving on to the next question. So again, this question again comes from Manu. If you're an employee of the organization, what are the three things that will make you happy?
Well, I think that I'm not the guy to be asking to be asked that question. But anyway, I think because I may not be able to do justice to a question like this, but based on my understanding, I think uh, employees are looking for, I mean, based on the sessions we've had, they're looking for flexible timings, they're looking for management to be empathetic to their situation. And as we saw in some of the other sessions, that some people, they wanted to really eager to know, would we continue this work from home? Because now they have gotten used to certain routine with their wife, with their families. So they want to make sure that routine they can manage, they can maintain even once the pandemic situation, is handled. So, or your post-pandemic era, and that's kind of one of the number one question. And some people are dying to get back to office. So, flexibility overall is a very, very important thing for employees because they have gone through this period that nobody had imagined will go through. And then through this process, the good recognition for their credible work. Some employees have done really, really good work, and obviously, we as management should recognize that and make sure they are provided enough, incentives for that to maintaining that kind of credibility in their work and good rapport with management. I think, when I mentioned that these days of where every person, every employee is just a Zoom window for management, how do you maintain good relationship with employees? So very important both ways, right? How does an employee maintain good relationship with his manager, his or her manager? So that Zoom window is a good window of opportunity, but something new for all of us to learn from. And that's they really some people are, I know, are anxious about it. So I think these three, four things that I've mentioned: flexible timings, flexible work environment, recognition, and ways to maintain good relationship with their management are the things that should matter to them.
Makes sense, Sanjay. I think these are very noble thoughts. Thanks for sharing. The other question, right? This is one of those which probably you get as a CEO of a company, right? And as CEO of MSIS, what are the MSIS strategies, or what would be the MSIS strategies in the coming years?
See, our strategies would be, I would say 70 to 80% similar to what they were in pre-pandemic uh, times, which is to grow the company, identify existing talents, and help them grow within the company. We always believe in that the in-house talent should be given opportunities to grow, and while we grow as a company, organically and inorganically, right? And so it will continue that way. I think in a post-pandemic, few things. One is providing that flexibility to our employees while maintaining the productivity, and also creating more opportunities of employee engagement. And right now, our biggest challenge is being able to hire talent, enough talented, sufficient number of talented people to fill all the requirements we have. So that is, of course, we have to find some creative ways of doing that. And so that these are the strategies in the post-pandemic world, because some industry like ours have more requirements than people we can find, and the talent requirements have also been tilted in certain way. So how do you fill those positions? How do you find that talent? So we need to come up with creative ways of doing that. So these are, I think, the strategies we are all continuing to look for, look towards, and implement them in the coming months.
Sounds good, Sanjay. I think that really helps, and that helps probably, you know, organizations to think through what they should be doing in the coming years. And that's really nice question from Ashraf. The next question, comes from Prabhakar Desari, and he asks, "What are the most important attributes of successful leaders today?" What would you say, sir?
You know, uh, just before the pandemic started, in the beginning of, I think, 2020, I had written an article in my blog which was titled Leadership in 2020. I will urge everyone to go back to my blog, segalnotes.com, and read that article. And the things that I wrote there, I think, are I had written those while making some observation about leadership changes that we all saw in companies like Microsoft, Google, and similar ones. And I had also said that by the time they percolate down to other organizations of our size or smaller than us or larger than us, it may take few years, but I think this pandemic has accelerated that. I think for any leader these days, they have to continue to refresh knowledge they have about the market, about the technology, and of course, I'm referring a lot to the technology industry folks, but it's very important even in non-technology eye for knowledge, or eagerness to learn newer things regardless of the industry you are in. Very, very important. And I know a friend of mine who is in perfumery, and they are finding new changes because now their customer mix has changed more towards people who are developing, let's say, the sanitizers or wipes or those kind of things than other kind of material they were making. So their ingredient, perfume as an ingredient, is being used more now. Things which are pandemic related than other things. So every industry is going through changes. So that very important. Then having that peaceful, inclusive heart. Going back to the previous couple of questions ago, when I mentioned you can't save someone from drowning unless you know swimming. So unless you have that stability in yourself, your heart, and of course your mind, you won't be able to provide the same to your employees. And if an employee comes to you panicking because of something, how would you be able to give him that feeling of comfort? Because you need to have that, right? Very important. And then, of course, the inclusive leadership, more and more needed when all of us are working from home, and except for CEOs in few industries, it means you have to empower people who work around you with you, or else you won't be able to, provide the leadership down to the level of the last employee in your company. So very important three things, your eagerness, an eye for learning new things, peaceful, stable heart, and an inclusive leadership approach where you empower people who work for you.
Thanks for sharing that, Sanjay. I think really, enlightens in this aspect, right? And I think the next question that comes in is from Kishore, and I think ties into what you were talking about in the previous one. So it's about how to keep the mind forward with the willingness to accept and proceed with the new challenges in a dynamic environment.
I'll say meditate, brother. Kishore, learn to meditate. That will help you, because that will give that power to your mind to accept and proceed with new challenges. People often think of meditation as a means of feeling peaceful. And I think peace is a bit, or a bit overrated. Or other way to understand is that through peace only you will get everything else that is needed. So, you know, depending upon how you understand these things, I would say that you should be able to learn these techniques of accepting, acting when need to act, and taking everybody else along with you through a meditative approach.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Sanjay. And I think since you're talking about meditation, one of the folks has been asking us, is there just a neat book on meditation? What would you suggest?
Well, if you somebody is writing, a book about me or about whatever, they need to understand the subject very well. They can, if they're writing about me, they can meet me virtually these days. It's relatively easier. Meeting physically was always a challenge. And I have written a lot of articles on my blog. They can read, and you can go through my social media pages. That will give you, a lot of things about me, how I think, how I write, how I act, react, and easiest is to just contact me directly, and we can set up some session to go through things. So, hope I've answered that question as well. Anything else, Rohit?
Yeah, so there's one final question, Sanjay. This comes from Rajneesh, and he asks, how would someone write about your journey for a magazine? Interesting questions.
Yes. No, I think they should, contact me to meet me virtually. It's said it's virtually. It's relatively easier than meeting physically these days, and they can read my articles. I've written a lot of articles in the blog, in other magazines. They can search for those articles, personal stories, and go through my LinkedIn pages. That will give them an insight into how I think, act, or react. Right? Hopefully, that will be helpful to them if they're writing something about my journey. But of course, nothing replaces talking to me directly about it with your questions.
Sure, Sanjay. I think, Sanjay, thanks for your time. I think this is all we had for this for today. But we really thank you for your thoughts and ideas, and hopefully everyone here on the channel benefits from these thoughts and ideas. Any last minute, any parting thoughts?
Sure, stay home, stay safe, and again, I'll say there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, however long the tunnel may be. Wait for that light. Till that time, focus on the light within your heart through meditation. Right?
Sure, Sanjay. Thanks. Appreciate it, Sanjay, and we'll meet next time. Thanks, Sanjay.
Sure. Thanks, Rohit, for taking time to ask me these questions. Thank you.
Sure, Sanjay. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Until next.